Hey, Father Miller here. Welcome back to the Nerd Father. I had to go live earlier than I planned because, as I've been putting on social media, we have our youth retreat starting tonight. And I actually thought it was supposed to start at this time. It turns out it starts at 8. And originally I was going to go live at 8:30. So hopefully that doesn't really screw anybody up. But anyway, but no, I got back from Dallas today. It was an awesome, very awesome trip. I really have enjoyed going to these meetups that Gary has. Been able to see a lot of people I got to know over the years through streaming and previous meetups. And that's why I enjoy going to these. As I was telling a friend, I'm there as a nerd who happens to be a priest. And I'm not going there to preach the gospel, but people know that they can talk to me. And I had some really good theological discussions with people. And that's why I really enjoy again, the nerddom and everything. So, but today is Father's Day. It is also Corpus Christi Sunday, body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. I wish I could have been here for the Masses because I love preaching on this topic. But as Catholics, we believe that when the prayers are said over the bread and wine, the bread stops being bread, the wine stops being wine, and is replaced by the body and blood of Jesus Christ and the appearances of bread and wine. And maybe one day I'll do a live stream on my master's paper. I had to write an MA thesis while in the seminary, and I think it was about 64 pages. And it was devoted to the first Eucharistic prayer. For non-Catholics, these are the prayers that we pray during Mass, where it's over the bread and wine that becomes the body and blood of Christ. There's 4 of them that are normally used, one of 4 of them. I did my MA thesis on the first Eucharistic prayer, the Roman Canon, which until the Vatican II was pretty much the only Eucharistic prayer that was used. And so it was a 64-page paper. It was fun. I mean, I learned a lot during that. It's part of the reason I wanted to write the paper on that, because I wanted to understand the history of it. But as Catholics, we've always believed this from the time of Jesus, when he said that in John 6, that unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life within you, for my flesh is true food and my blood true drink. And the second reading of Mass today was from 1 Corinthians, which I learned in my MA thesis is the oldest writing of the earliest writing of the New Testament. So before Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was written, we have St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians. And the reason that's important is because within that letter, Paul talks about handing on to the Corinthians what was handed on to him first, namely that on the night that before he died, Jesus took bread and said, "This is my body," took the cup, "This is my blood." The cat is trying to get my attention because I've been away for 6 days. But the reason that's important is 1 Corinthians was written about 43 AD, if I remember correctly. So a little bit over 10 years after the death and resurrection of Christ, before the Gospels were written. So it's showing us what we Catholics call an oral tradition, because we believe we're guided by sacred scripture and sacred tradition. So that's a little bit of what we celebrate today. But yeah, Father's Day is awesome. I wish I could be home for that, but I was having breakfast with somebody yesterday. I was just mentioning the awesomeness of the vocation of marriage, because I used my own dad's side for an example on this, because my great grandpa Miller, John Miller, who died in Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. The Millers come from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but he married a girl that came from a family of 14, and this is just from that one side of the parents of the 14 kids. So, I mean, it's a little bit, but I mean, it's the thing that's really neat about it, and to consider the eternal consequences of marriage and sex, is that as of, this is written 10 years ago too, or no, 2004, so it's almost 20 years old. It's outdated, of course. But this has the names, and I'm looking for it. There's, long story short, there's like about 10,600 people in this book alone. And this book is not complete because and it's the Enders family that I'm a part of. So this goes from 1740 to 2004. And the thing that was really neat is I found my great-grandparents in this book. And that's all that they had. They didn't know about my grandpa. They didn't know about my dad. They don't know about me. So I reached out to them, and that was awesome. So the only thing I really wish is when I was going to school in Philadelphia and I was a 2-hour drive from Harrisburg, I really wish I could have visited family then, mostly because it was a 2-hour drive instead of having to fly halfway across the country and then renting a car to drive to Harrisburg. So anyway, yeah, but so Dallas, that's part of the thing I wanted to do tonight. Dallas was amazing. Like I said, I went last year to the Vegas meetup. It was amazing too. I mean, it was at a nerd bar, but this was first trip of mine to Dallas. I've never been to Texas really outside of flying through layovers, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a 10-hour drive for me. I broke it up over 2 days. Again, as I tell people, I try not to dox myself, but I'm in the Midwest, so it was at least a 10-hour drive. It was fun. Met a lot of the people I met last year. If Man of War is watching, I got to meet up with him and his wife again. That was a blast. Ian, the Mega Geek, who streams with me, flew in with his sister from London. I met the brother of a priest friend of mine from back home. So, I mean, it was a blast. So they had it at Gators, which is in downtown Dallas. And I had to laugh because the capacity sign said 168, but there was at least 400 people there, or at least that's what Gary was saying afterwards. So Gary was there, Comics Division was there, Quarter Black, Lady Gravemaster was there, I was there. Oh dear, Jeremy and Ryan, Odin. Got to meet up with Odin. It was finally nice to meet him in person, having streamed with him a little bit. Again, same thing with Lady Gravemaster. It was really nice meeting up with her for the first time after streaming with her a number of times. So I'm going to go again next year. I just really wish I could have stayed for the whole thing. And Warwick is here. Yes, I got to had a good talk with you on that. But you see, that's why I go to these things. I enjoy it. I get to nerd out and I get to answer questions or have really good discussions. So, but yeah, because the youth retreat starts today, I had to get back. So I didn't get to go to the Nerdrotic panel yesterday. I wish I could have. I saw that Gary had it on his channel. So I'm going to try to watch it tonight. But I also still have to watch. I'm just keeping an eye out. Still got to watch the new Kenobi because I'm punishing myself. I'm also going to watch Miss Marvel because I was a bad person and ate Fogo de Chao on Friday. Yesterday was my birthday, and to treat myself, I went to Fogo de Chao because they had a $25 gift certificate for your birthday. So instead of having to pay 50 something for dinner, you get 25 off. And I figured gorge myself on meat. So I got to do penance for that. Justin, good to see you. So you got to start joining the streams again. But as I showed Justin, so part of the reason I got the tip jar is because I am buying comics, and it's weird. So last night I stayed in Wichita, Kansas, which is kind of partway home for me. But I stopped at a half-price bookstore because I went there last year when I went down for the funeral of Father Mel Kaplan, the priest who died in the North Korean POW camp and whose bones were identified last year. They flew him back to Kansas. They had the burial. He's a Medal of Honor winner, so it was a very, very, very awesome moving experience. Got to go to that, and while I was in Wichita, I hit the comic stores because, never been there. Let's see what they got. Sad thing is, Wichita comics stink. They really didn't have anything that I was looking for. I actually found more comics at a half-price book than at any of the stores in Wichita. So when I went through last night, I had to go to half price because I really did good last time. And I picked up a bunch of these old Superman comics, probably late 70s, early 80s. But the thing that was really neat about it is they were all $2. This is a little bit more of a modern Superman. Usually I try to collect I'm trying to collect Superman before 400, before they reach the 400 issue, because that's when it starts to change for me. The stories kind of lose interest. But I have probably now a little bit over 150 Superman comics from the first one. And Man of War, good to see you too. Um, Thanks for the text earlier. I got to check out the song you sent me from Man of War. I've not listened to it yet, but I'm going to. So, but yeah, I mean, $2. So I ended up spending a total of about 22. And for new comics, and apologies. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I accidentally hit a button that screws up my computer. That was not a Gary moment. Let's see. We got to get the camera back up. There we go. Sorry about that. So this is my stupid keyboard. And if you accidentally hit this little button called PC, it shuts down your computer. So, oops. Let's move that keyboard out of the way. But yeah, so I picked up a bunch of comics there, but then I also went to Titan Comics, and I gotta be careful because my bag is falling apart. Oh, I got my poster from Gary and all that. So I did get a bunch of Lois Lane comics, which I've been collecting for ages. Love this cover here. This is a Lois Lane number 37. I paid $5, but yeah, Lois Lane, super babysitter. You gotta love the art is what really drew me to it. Is me not feeling anything yet when Lois start to spank me. So you got her breaking her hand. She broke a brush. She broke a badminton handle or a tennis racket. Let's see, I'm trying to find out which one was the one I spent the most on. And actually, Justin, you'll be interested in this one. I found this at an antique store. I've not heard of this one before. I think it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that drew me in. It's not in really good condition, but it's good. I got went a little goofy. Sorry about that. Okay, so there's the two comics I really was excited about. I did spend a little bit on this one, but this is a Jimmy Olsen number 15. I think it is 15. Yeah, number 15. I think this is a comic from 1956. I paid $12 for it. It's in fair condition. This one, I don't know if I'll read. I'm like I said, I'm collecting them. I just wanted to be able to do that. But then I have also been wanting to get this one just because of the cover. Jimmy, this gift you got me for Father's Day makes me sorry I ever adopted you as my son. I'll have to destroy it to teach you a lesson. So that one was $8, but again, totally worth it. It's like from the late 50s, early 60s. I don't remember what exactly year. So, but yeah, but Dallas was amazing. Let me see if I was going to bring up some pictures from that. Okay, hold on. I just wish I could have stayed a little bit longer than I did. Okay, there we go. So going through a little bit of the pictures, making sure everything showed up. Going down, I stayed in Oklahoma City because there was a classmate of mine from the seminary that is stationed down there. Oh, Man of War, thank you. You do not have to do that. Let's see. My login, I got to log in. Thought I had done that. Let's see. happy birthday. Now that the drinking is over, you can spend it on funny books. Yeah, I mean, we had a very interesting bartender at Gators. Um, that's about all I should probably say. And he knows what I'm referring to. But yeah, it was nice. I had never been through Oklahoma before. I was a little nervous making this trip because my car has 152,000 miles on it. So a little nervous on doing that. um, just going through it. So this is kind of my attack map of places I wanted to visit when I was in Dallas. I didn't get to do everything, of course. I do want to go back. Let's see. Cake versus pie. So getting into Texas, I was looking for a big, welcome sign, but there wasn't anything. I was surprised by that. Made a trip to Buc-ee's. Always heard of it. Wanted to go there. Bought a mug. It's like a big gas station. Now Justin would know what I'm referring to because in just outside Walcott, in Walcott, Iowa, just outside of Davenport, is the world's largest truck stop, the I-80 truck stop, and it's huge. Buc-ee's was big. It was fun. It wasn't as big as the I-80. So, but I did go to Titan Comics. They thankfully did not make us wear masks, although some of the staff was still wearing it. But that's where I picked up a lot of my comics this time. They were the only ones in the whole Dallas area that had old issues, a variety of old issues. I had to take a picture of this because we stand with Texas trans youth and those who love them. Of course, it's Ben and Jerry, so what do you expect? So this was getting to meet Ian. Ian flew over, the Mega Geek, flew over from London, got to meet him, got to hang out with him. It was like 100 almost the whole time in Dallas. Very hot. So got to hang out with him. It was wonderful. Let's see. This is running off of my phone, so that's why it's taking a little while for this. Anyway, while that's trying to load, let's see. You won't let that one alone, will you? No, I'm not going to. And I won't say anything because I'll probably get, well, if I was demonetized, which I'm not, I'd probably get demonetized. Yeah, I was, but that's why I took like 3 or 4 pictures because I don't want to really focus on taking one picture if it's going to screw up. Let's see. Sorry, this thing isn't working. Yeah, so I went to Half Price Books and I ended up getting this one. I was telling Odin about this because the Shoes of the Fisherman was, Anthony, I gotta look it up. But basically, Shoes of the Fisherman is a 1960s movie. It has, it's going to drive me nuts. I can't remember Anthony, but he plays the first Russian Pope, and it's during like time of almost war where China's threatening to nuke the world because of a famine. It's a good movie. I don't really care for the ending, but it was a really good movie. It's probably the best movie. It's probably there's a scene in the movie which shows the election of a pope, how the conclave happens from start to finish. Awesome. And I usually show that in class. But this was the Half Price Bookstore. I didn't realize that they were based in Dallas, and this was huge. I had to pick this up. I was showing Ian that. Radio Times is the British magazine for like their TV guide type thing. But I am a royalist. I do love the Queen. I did enjoy watching the Jubilee last week. You got the huge eyeball downtown Dallas, so I did take a few pictures with that. Yep, there it was. Yeah, that's I did get to do barbecue. I found a nice little place south of Parkland Hospital that had barbecue, so I did enjoy that. I saw this at an antique store, which was kind of little anyway. So I do try to do antiquing when I'm there. This is Parkland Hospital where Kennedy died. I did get to visit the Texas Book School Depository, and Man of War, it was worth it. I really enjoyed it. I'm a Kennedy fan. I did have to laugh, and this is the Yingling. I did bring 6 cases of this back, not all for me, but Yingling is a Pennsylvania beer. We drank it all the time when we were in the seminary. Unfortunately, in our state, it's not available, so I brought 6 cases back. I took orders from my brother Priest, and I think Jackie Gleason was chasing me all the way back home. So Yingling is awesome. Let's see. Okay, so there's Man of War and Cash. We'll move on because I don't think he wants to see that. But this was Gators. I mean, this was a huge place. There was a huge line to meet Gary, friend from back home. Yeah, this was the joke. It was supposed to hold 166 people, but there was like 3 times as many people there. And it was originally supposed to be on the roof, but it was like 104, and there was no shade upstairs. So really didn't finally make it up there until the end of until the sun had gone down. We're not supposed to look at that. Odin's movie review took one picture with me, wasn't ready, so he did the same. Odin's great guy. Mrs. Nerdrotic, Eric July, got to meet him. Great man, good commentator. Let's see. There's the man, Gary. Quarter Black, we did a comparison because we both lost weight over the last year. So good to see Quarter Black. Don't know what that is. It was going to be one of the places. Yeah, so this is the Daily Plaza Kennedy assassination. You know, you've seen it, pictures of it. You've seen the Zapruder film all the time, but yeah, it's just surreal to be there. That's where Zapruder stood when he took his film. That's what his view was like. And then you got the triple underpass. So, but they have on the 5th floor, they turned it into a museum. You can see the X there where the fatal shot was fired. And of course, there was some conspiracy nuts out there. It's now the Dallas County Administration Building. Let's see. Just seeing if I'm missing anything on the chat. Yeah, but you go into it, you have to go into the side. The county has it as an office building now. It used to be a place to store books back in the early 60s where Oswald worked. I took a lot of pictures in there. But I mean, it really was worth it. It was like 20, I think it was like 20 to get in. And then I paid another 8 for the museum book. Trying to get past the yeah, there's a big metal bust that you see of Kennedy when you come into there. Took a lot of pictures of the signs just because I wanted to read them again later on. The famous "Welcome to Dallas, Mr. Kennedy" ad that appeared in the Texas paper the day that he arrived into Texas. I did not get to Fort Worth. I wanted to, but I didn't realize how far apart they are. I think it would have been at least a 50-mile drive from this one antique store I wanted to go to get back to the hotel. So I guess Kennedy spoke the morning of Friday, November 22nd at Fort Worth. Then he flew into Dallas Love Field, mostly because, again, I mean, it's a big distance between the two of them. So you got the teletype machine. That's the spot. That's the window. They reproduced it to look like as it was back then. So you don't get to see it from that window, but you can see it from the window next to it. So that's kind of almost the view that he had. The trees weren't as big back then. Again, we're coming up to the 60th anniversary of that next year. And there's the X. I can't remember the sheriff's name, but that's the suit that he wore when Oswald was shot. And they actually had the hat that Jack Ruby wore. So not only did I teach church history for 9 years, but I love history in general. So I made a point, it would have been something I would regret if I didn't do this when I was down there. Let's see, I don't know what that is. That was a horseshoe that was on one of the horses that carried Kennedy's casket. A medal. Prayer card that was given at Mass. And that's true. So yeah, this is a witness statement, and it was interesting because it says he's a student at whatever high school. I'm employed at the Pizza Inn. Talks about how his wife and him, so high school student married. But you have the cameras, the type of cameras that were used to capture the pictures. That's not the actual Zapruder camera, but that's what it was like. It's a replica. If you haven't seen the movie Parkland, it's a good movie. It's probably been 20 plus years since I saw Oliver Stone's JFK. I don't buy it. Never did. I mean, I used to buy the idea of the conspiracy, but I don't now. Gerald Posner wrote a book back in the 90s called Case Closed, and it really convinced me. I mean, he goes into it in great detail on the Zapruder film, showing how Oswald was able to do it. They even had Oswald's wedding ring. I've seen this movie, but it's been so long. Yeah, so upstairs on the 6th floor, they do have a museum of relics. The original Texas School Book Depository sign is up there. And that is the view from the 6th floor. So just one floor up from where Oswald fired, you can look out on Dallas. This was the joke. I love JFK, but I absolutely loathe his brother. It's interesting to consider if JFK and RFK, if they both had lived to an older age, I wonder what I would have thought of them. But both died young and tragically. But yeah, Daily Plaza was worth the visit. I actually drove through there a few times. Oh, Man of War, what did you send? Oh, you got. Thanks. The funny thing was, you actually saw people running to the X's in the street when there were no cars there so that they could get their picture on the spot. Yeah, there's a family that ran into the street to get their picture. and then they have to run out to get it. I had to take a picture of the grassy knoll area because, as I was telling Dan the Space Brook, I was thinking of the episode of Red Dwarf where the crew accidentally knocks Lee Harvey Oswald out of the school book depository and JFK lived, but because he lived, the whole world changed for the worse. So they have to go back in time again, but with JFK to have JFK kill himself. I mean, it's totally a good episode. I love the episode. Red Dwarf, such a good show. But yeah, this is where people thought they saw somebody back there. I think it was Mythbusters did a scenario of what it would have been like if they had shot from the grassy knoll and the head should have exploded basically clean off. Yeah, so these are 2 books I bought when I was down there. Vogel de Chow, the bacon. Took a little bit of food pictures. Man, where I was going to send you this picture. The cow was dead. This is how awesome it was. Let's see. The cow was dead. It was bleeding. It was awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I went to the liquor store to get the Yingling. I did see that they're no longer selling Russian vodka, which is good. Okay, so that's the beer I brought home. As they told the guy, it's a very popular beer that we can't get in the Midwest. They were just, and I love this tweet from Cat Turd, but Yingling was just bought or merged with Coors, so they're supposed to be going nationwide. I think it was just new to Texas within the last year. I'm trying to think. Up until then, I think it was Indiana was the only other place in the Midwest, Ohio and Indiana, where you could get it. But yeah, these are the comics I bought. My little bag. Was talking to Lady Gravemaster. I am a Rick and Morty fan. You know, the funny thing is, I did have a discussion with a few people talking about faith and reason. This is Monsignor Georges Lamadere. I totally butchering his name, but he is the priest that was credited with the theory that would become known as the Big Bang Theory. He was I think it was a French astrophysicist in the 1930s, and I love this quote because it says discusses quantum physics with Einstein on Saturday, consecrate the Eucharist on Sunday. So, you know, the big thing is, as Catholics, you don't believe faith and reason contradict; they go hand in hand. And yeah, it's just philosophy is awesome to study and church history. So, yeah, this was leaving just to see how crazy it was. I mean, I've driven in DC, I've driven in New York, Philly, St. Louis. I think Dallas was probably one of the craziest with all the side roads and everything. So, but the last thing I did do was I did visit the Oklahoma City bombing museum. I think I was gonna, yeah, I did stop at Buc-ee's. I almost bought this. I was going to buy this just because I love the name of it, Dirty Dalmatian, but I think it was like $12 for the seasoning. And I wasn't going to do that. So let's just get through a few more. And there are other things. Yeah. So I did do a live stream from the Alfred P. Murrow building yesterday. Didn't really get a whole lot of pictures. It just, yeah, the museum was worth it. And they had chairs for each of the 160 some people that died. So Oops. Yeah, so that was it. The only other thing I would say is I did see this collection of Doctor Who books at an antique mall in Oklahoma City. It was like 10 books for 200, so I didn't know if I was going to buy it. I couldn't buy it. But anyway, let's see the comments. Got Lord Thorth here. Good to see you. Darius Munchausen. Good to see you. I know I butchered it. Sorry. Mr. Roy is here. Yes, it is a lot of beer, but it's not for me. One case is for me. Not everything. Snorter Poopus is here. Good to see you, man. Ah, yes, Chris Persia. Prosciutto and pork crackle. Funny thing is, the Writing Raven commented it was corned beef. It's like, I don't think you can eat either one of those. And I said that because, for those that don't know, she's Jewish. So I met her and her husband last year in Vegas. Great couple. It's fun. I mean, we're different religions, but we're there. We're both nerds. Good people. Let's see. Yeah, Darius, Yingling is national now. It's just not in all 50 states. I'm trying to think. Somebody met up with my cousin down in Wichita last night. I had dinner with her. She said she thought Yingling was in Kansas. And I'm like, no, because I would have known if it was, because I would make road trips to Kansas just to get the stuff if it was there. Yeah, Dallas interstates or other madness. If it wasn't for my GPS, there's no way I would have been able to get through Dallas. No way at all. So, Chris Persia, good to see you. So that's that for the pictures. But let me see. I was going to show something else. Whoops. Yeah, so there was some Catholic news this week. There's a school in Massachusetts, I think it is, where the bishop has said that they can no longer call themselves a Catholic school because they are flying the pride flag and BLM flags. And surprise, surprise, it's a Jesuit school. So, shocker. It seems there's not many. There's probably, you could count the number of good Jesuits on one hand. For those that don't know what a Jesuit is, they are the Society of Jesus. Back during the time of the Reformation, founded by St. Ignatius of Loyola, they were the hardcore priests, really good priests. Fortunately, they've fallen away. But yeah, so Black Lives Matter flag and Pride flag are inconsistent with Catholic teaching, and it's correct. I mean, let's see, what was it? So the Nativity School in Worcester is an independent Catholic Jesuit middle school that provides quality tuition-free education to boys. That's good. I applaud them for that. But what the problem was, it says that they started flying the flags for making our communities more just and inclusive. That's the problem. And as the bishop told the school that they would be prohibited from identifying themselves as a Catholic school, the flags remained. And as he says, it sends the next confusing and scandalous message to the public about the church's stance on these important moral issues. And I actually preached on this, I think 2 years ago during the Summer of Love. As he says, he argued that the pride flag represents support of gay marriage and actively living an LGBTQ, good heavens, that thing's expanding, lifestyle, which contradicts Catholic teaching. Now, for those that don't know, we believe if one is homosexual, that is not a sin. But if one acts on it, that's where the sin comes in, because the idea of sex is within marriage. The twofold purpose for marriage would be procreation and unity. The thing that can unite a husband and wife together and bringing forth the possibility of new life. So this is why we say homosexual activity is disordered, and the same thing with contraception, because it blocks that total gift of self between man and wife. The Black Lives Matter, this is spot on here, and I actually preached about this. We do believe Black Lives Matter, but there has to be a distinction made between the group that calls itself Black Lives Matter and the concept of Black Lives Matter, because I remember when they first started, or when their website was out, they had their platform. It was about trans, queer, gender fluid, whatever the garbage is. And it's like, no, I don't support that. But the idea of Black Lives Matter. So again, the difference between the concept and the group, and it's very important. And that difference, the group contradicts church teaching, especially when it comes to marriage, family, and sexuality. So, oh dear, I didn't even know this. There's a rainbow flag flying at the U.S. Embassy to the Holy See. Oh dear. Anyway, let's take a look at this one too. Bring that up on this screen. And while that's loading, let's just see what we got. Oops. I hate these autoplay ads. Let's see, I'm just going to see the chat. No, but Ryan did give me a hug. And you know, the thing that's again that I really enjoy about going to these events is I've been involved in the Nerdrotic Geeks and Gamers community for so long that I do stand out because I'm active in the chat. I'm on Gary's member streams. I'm a nerd that happens to be a priest. So yeah, it stands out. And as I was telling one of my friends who also is a priest that doesn't like how they take the Lord's name in vain, it's like, well, I don't like that either. But I mean, you know, they're aware of it. They know that I don't like that, but I'm not going to avoid them because of that. I mean, I'm here because I consider them to be friends. So, you know, I've been able to stream with Ryan and Jeremy on Lady Gravemaster's first stream. That was fun. Um, and just being able to meet them in person. So I keep kidding Ryan about how I was going to throw holy water on him. But yeah, I mean, it was nice. Jeremy saw that I was standing near Gary. Jake D was there, and we were just talking. Jeremy just came up and shook my hand and everything. It was good to see him again. So, what Ignatius of Loyola would think of him, I wouldn't want to be them on Judgment Day. I'm not judging them, but oh dear heavens, some of them are bad. You know, I have not seen Shogun, Darius. But you know, that's the reason there was persecution. Yeah, Jake D was there. He was there for a few hours. And hi. So, and yes, that's the fun thing. I mean, Gary does often say sorry, Father. I mean, and Odin was saying that when I was on sabbatical, they were saying it's probably a good thing I wasn't there for the chat. So I mean, again, I love these guys. I mean, they're so much fun. I mean, you know, I hopefully the idea is the ministry of presence, just being there. But yeah, like I said, I go to have fun. So um see, I think Ryan keeps that back home in a jar buried in the backyard. I think I probably missed that. But let's see, yeah. Jake D is awesome. So I got to hang out with him more last year in Vegas. He had to leave. He came in Thursday. He had to head back, but he was supposed to be there yesterday because he said he was bringing his daughters to the animation panels because a lot of their favorite characters were going to be there. So I really do hope I can stay for the whole thing next year. But anyway, going back to the pride flag, you know, the thing that sucks is June is the month devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The Feast of the Sacred Heart is coming up on Friday. You know, like Mary, the month of May is devoted to Mary, Our Lady. November is devoted to praying for the dead, for the souls of those who have gone before us. I hate how June has been becoming Pride Month, and it just seems to be being thrown more into the face over the last year or two. But U.S. Embassy for the Holy See boasted of their celebration of Pride Month, posting a photo of the rainbow banner. Yeah. That's probably all I should say on that. But let's see. There was something else I was going to show. Um, yeah, the one thing I had to be careful. Let's see. Got a few more comments. Yeah. Hey, and like I said, the thing I don't know if who somebody was telling, never be afraid to come to us. I mean, one of the great joys I have as a priest is if somebody's been away from the faith for a long time and they decide to start coming back, that brings us a lot of joy. I think it was my first or second year as a priest. So about 12 years ago, I heard the confession of somebody that was away for 40 years. I felt awesome after that. I mean, you can't be expected to remember every little thing you've done over 40 years, but just to be able to come back, and we call that a big fish. I mean, somebody that's been away for a long time. I've kind of become a lurker lately, mostly because the chat has become so expansive that it's hard to really have a conversation with people because if you're not paying attention, the comments go by so fast. And again, I'm beyond happy for Gary because of all the work he's done, how his channel has exploded over the years. It really has. I mean, I've been around. I know I was talking with somebody. It was like we remember Friday nights before Friday Night Tights started, where Gary did have a Friday night stream, and then when Friday Night Tights started, it was like at 7 o'clock Central or whatever it was, or 8 o'clock. Then they moved it to the afternoon to help Az. So, and I also consider Az to be a friend. I mean, great guy. But yeah, uh, yeah, I'm gonna have to do much penance for this last week, for all the food I ate. Fogo de Chao, I did not leave hungry. But anyway, I would love to go to Orlando. I really would, but the problem is it's during the school year, and I'm teaching this fall, so I really can't get away for the weekend. I can get away for I might be able to. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it. But I spent too much money over the last week going to Dallas, and that was the main thing for the year. It was drivable, but I wanted to go back to Philly this summer, but with the price of tickets, there's no way I could do that. Round trip ticket from here to Philly was going to be $800. 2 years ago it was 400. I think I basically went to Dallas for less than 800 this time. So I mean, I really wish I could do it, but I'm going to go to the one next year, and hopefully I can go for the whole weekend. So yeah, and that's the thing too, Darren. It is hard to get a word in during the big streams. Used to be when the stream was smaller, you didn't always have to send in a super chat to get noticed. And even when you did send in a super chat, it usually was read in order. And again, not a criticism. Definitely not a criticism. Um, Gary's been able to live a good life because of this, and he is good at what he does. And I have to say, I'm grateful to him again because he helped me get over 1,000, that reaching over that 1,000 mark, which is a reminder if you're not subscribed, please do. And I'm getting close to the 4,000 hour watch mark. I still got about 1,000 hours to get, which, it's weird, but I have almost 3,000 hours of watch time. Now, a lot of it is live streaming. I'm going to try to start going back to video making. But I also, and I was showing Lady Gravemaster this, I also have on my channel here, as it happened, news clips from like ABC, CBS, of like when John Paul II was elected, papal visits, papal news as it happened, the news broadcast. So I try to upload that stuff when I find it, just trying to make it as a source. So let's see. Yeah. I want to go to meetup to meet some friends, but I'm kind of worried to show my name and face places. Yeah, I understand. I mean, the funny thing was, and I'm not going to show the pictures of some people because they don't. When we stream, they don't show themselves, and I don't want to really out them. But to be able to actually meet them in person was awesome. So don't watch a lot of stuff from Gary Ryan as anymore. I mean, it has changed. I still enjoy Gary. I watch as I don't watch a whole lot of Ryan. I have a little bit from time to time. It just depends what he is talking about. So, but it is going to be interesting because that brings up another article I was wanting to show. Um, I had no desire to see Lightyear. I'll be honest, I have never seen the original Toy Story movies. I've not been a fan of Disney for probably 30 years, mostly because in the 90s they had a show on called Nothing Sacred, which mocked priests like myself, who are faithful priests who hold church teachings. Um, yeah, I mean, the Catholic League, which is the Catholic equivalent of the Anti Defamation League, led a boycott back in '97 against Disney because of this show. And there was like so many advertisers that withdrew their ads that ABC was airing in primetime Time Life Presents ads for like John Denver and stuff. But it looks like Lightyear bombed. Um, 86 million. And the thing is, it doesn't really. I know a lot of people. A lot of people were talking about the same sex kiss. Myself, I don't really care for it, but if the movie looked good, I'd probably go regardless. But the movie did not interest me. And probably it's because of Chris Evans. He's become a political jerk over the last year or two, probably since Noises Off, I think it was, or Knives Out. I'm sorry, Knives Out. The other one that's kind of becoming intolerable is Takiti, whatever, the director for Thor, Love and Thunder, Thor Ragnarok. I love his What We Do in the Shadows, but this other stuff is just not good. So it looks like Lightyear opened number one in the Latin America markets. Well, that's nice, but it didn't do good here. It only opened second. And that could be partially because Tim Allen wasn't the voice of Buzz Lightyear. I like Tim Allen. Let's see, The Rise of Gru. I'm looking forward to that. I actually know one of the animators on the Minions movie. Been able to get to know him. I met him a few years back in St. Louis. Friend of mine. So so it looks like Jurassic World, which I don't really have a desire to see either, passed the 500 million mark and today hit 600 million. I don't really care. Not a Bryce Dallas fan. Okay, so it has now surpassed Free Guy, which is a good movie. I love it. To become the third biggest Hollywood pick of the pandemic. Okay, so Top Gun Maverick is at 885 million. Awesome movie. I still haven't seen it again. I wanted to do a second scene, but I just haven't had the chance yet. So, but yeah, I had to laugh at that. So again, it kind of goes into. Whoops, I still got a comment up there. Kind of goes back. I lost my train of thought, but let's see. Snorri Poopus, the fun thing is, if you were to show up, we wouldn't know what you look like. At least with Lady Gravemaster, I knew what her voice sounded like. Yeah, and as Chris says, I wouldn't watch Lightyear because they didn't bring back Tim Allen. Honestly, I don't think he would. I think he's kind of done with Disney. I mean, he had a fun tweet out yesterday saying he overheard a kid at Disney saying, "Am I pansexual because I'm attracted to pans?" But yeah, and he is moderately conservative, thus blacklist. I did not do In-N-Out. I did it in Vegas. I wasn't impressed. I did get the barbecue, which was a must. I wanted to do Tex-Mex, but I didn't get to. We ate dinner at Gators. Um, throws a seal. Okay. St. Louis is where you're from. Ted Drew's. It's amazing. There's like only one or two stands in the whole city of St. Louis, but everybody knows of Ted Drew's frozen custard. I first went to St. Louis probably 30 years ago when I was in college. I went down for a friend's diaconate at Kenrick Seminary. And yeah, I remember eating Ted Drew's for the first time. So anytime I go through St. Louis, I have to stop there. And actually, I think it was 4 years ago was the first time I've been back to St. Louis in probably 20 years, outside of flying through it once. Um, but yeah, Free Guy was awesome. And you're right, nobody else but Tim Allen is Buzz. I mean, I probably should watch it. I do have Disney Plus. As I was telling people, the only reason I have Disney Plus is because American Express reimburses you $13 to subscribe to Disney Plus. So it's the only reason I do. In-N-Out is gross. I don't remember the fries, but I will say the fact that I don't remember the fries means I wasn't overly impressed with it. So let's see. I really don't remember the fries. The burger was okay. The shake was really good. St. Louis style pizza, I think I've had. Toasted Ravs, no. Um, I live a distance from St. Louis. I don't get there very often. The one time I went to St. Louis was because I couldn't go back to Philly for some reason. I don't remember. I think it was I moved parishes that summer and couldn't get coverage for the weekend. I would have gone to Philly. So I think I took a trip home to Iowa and then decided to go to St. Louis from there to catch a Cardinals game. I got to see my cartoonist friend and it was fun. So, but yeah, I'm coming up on an hour. I'm going to have to get going soon because we have the youth retreat starting soon. Um, it's been a good week. I'm really grateful I went to Dallas and I want to go again. The one thing I did not get to do, and I was going to try to do it, was I was going to try to visit the presidential libraries. I was going to visit the Bush Library, W. Bush's libraries in Dallas, but gas is expensive, and to go to College Station in Austin, where LBJ and H.W. Bush's libraries are, probably would have cost another 150 in gas just to go to that. The reason I was saying doing the presidential libraries is they have this passport thing where if you visit a presidential library, you buy the passport, you can get it stamped at the library you visit. And if you visit all 13 of them, you get a certificate from the National Archives in addition to a crystal paperweight. So, I mean, it's kind of like a cool bucket list. But there are 13 libraries. Yeah, 150 in gas, that's like 5 gallons. There is the meme going around of the guy proposing to the girl with a tank of gas. There was somebody else I saw on Twitter today thanking the president, that saying we're better off now than we were 2 years ago. It's like, I filled my tank for $75 today. Almost ran out of gas because I forgot to fill up in the last city. I got there. I probably had maybe a quarter of a tank left. But $75 to fill up a tank of gas. So, But for those who have donated in these streams, I do thank you for that, because that did go towards gas money. It went towards comics, and it did go towards a few drinks. So grateful for that. But let's see what's coming up this week. I'm going to do the Friday stream with the rabbi. I think I got to look at the schedule, because our kids' retreat, the way our retreat works, it's Totus Tuus, named after John Paul II. Totally Yours. It's kind of a national thing. It's grown over the years. I think it started in Kansas. Oh, Ian is there. Hey, I behaved myself. I drank more water than I did beverages. And again, it was bleeding hot there. But yeah, Totus Tuus is John Paul II's model. Totally Yours. So it's a youth retreat. The grade school kids meet in the morning, and the high schoolers meet in the night. So let's see. Mrs. says to tell you, great to see you again. Can't wait till next year. Yeah, it's good to see you guys again. And again, this is why I go to these events. I mean, the friendships that we have built because of these streams, it makes these trips worth it. Love it. And thanks, Darren. Was able to get some books and drinks with the money. So, but yeah, so I'm going to try to do the Friday stream. I'm going to try to do the Friday afternoon stream this week. Like I said, it's a little hectic with the youth retreat, but I think I can make that work. And then I'll do this again next Sunday. I have tonight off from the Pink Sisters. And when I say Pink Sisters, they are the sisters that wear a habit that is the color pink. The technical name for them is the Holy Spirit Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, but they are known as the Pink Sisters because their habits are pink, and they have many convents throughout the world. And these are really awesome nuns. Their whole vocation is to pray before the Blessed Sacrament, and they do this 24/7. And it's one of the reasons we have a lot of the vocations that we do in our diocese, between that and the Carmelites. So yeah, so with that, I'm going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for joining me. It was great few days. Ian, so great to meet you in person finally. Man of War, so good to see you too. Again, so many people. It was so awesome. And they're going to have to rent a hall or something, because the sign said 168. There was a lot more than 168 there. So yes, none of your business. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you guys for joining me. Please be sure to hit the ring bell so you can be notified when I go live. So till then, God bless. And I'm hitting the wheel, and we'll see.